Welcome to Storytelling with Lindsay Bednar.
Hi, Lindsay.
Hi, Megan. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I just turned my volume way up. It's so good to see you again.
Good to see you.
I had so,
Surviving day, what, two of boot camp?
I know. I was just looking at the carpool app, like, okay, we're really doing this again, aren't we? Like, which day do I drive? I'm still new to this, and you've been in it for a minute, I understand, right?
Yeah. Well, so I grew up dancing
That's right.
with Kara, but it was never this wild and crazy. And I mean, it's her 10th year dancing at the studio, and Char was a fast follow. So yeah,
Well,
it feels like it's been crazy and it never ends and there's no break.
no.
And I don't know how normal people who like don't have flexible schedules make it work.
I know it's so funny. My niece danced. She just graduated a couple of years ago, Shelby. I don't know if you remember
Oh
her.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, I used to watch my sister-in-law dance mom and just see their schedule from afar, like, oh gosh, that looks crazy. And then
Mhm.
you get into it, and I mean, you have the background of it, so you at least had some experience, but yeah, explaining to like people who aren't in the dance world, like why we do it and how you just like fall in love with all of it. So yeah,
It
it's
is like if I could record some of the looks that I get from people that don't know,
right,
it's like I'm a psycho when
right,
I showed them my schedule. Like, we do it right.
right. Do you color code your schedule?
No, because I don't have time. I wish I did. I don't have time to color code like next to anything.
Well,
So
I am so
I
unorganized, but it is the one thing I've become like super obsessed with. Like Whitney has a color, Garrison has a color for specific sport, and it when I look at it, it's like this rainbow collage that's just been flattered onto my calendar, but
yeah. I
somewhat
feel like if I was going to multiple places, I would have to, or I would feel more of a need to do it. But I
yeah.
just know, like, I'm just going to be in Blaine at NFTC
Right.
literally for the rest of my life for 10 years.
Yes, you
Like,
will.
we're actually thinking about moving because that is how much time, like, just gets sucked out of our life. We were just talking about it again last night. Like, every Saturday and Sunday this year, we were in Blaine from 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. And
Uh,
it's too far, right, with two kids to do all the back and forth and to go home. So
because you're
we
in
just lose, we
River?
have no time.
Are you
We're
in
in St. Michael currently.
St. Michael? Okay. Okay. The business is in Elk River.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, so much to talk to you about. We're both business owners, dance moms. Like there's a lot to juggle.
That's
Um,
a juggle.
I know, and I want to know how you got to where you're at with the business because if I remember, you kind of
Yeah.
started there and they were like nudging you
Yeah.
towards it. So take me back
Mhm.
to the beginning of that.
Yeah. Well, I'll even give you like, because I think it's just fascinating how I even wound up here in general. Um, so I graduated from St. Thomas with a marketing degree and advertising background. Wanted to go work at like a big glamorous law or the advertising firm. So thought about that for a while, tried to do it. Crazy cutthroat, realized like, all right, I'll just do something a little bit more casual. So I actually went to work for Mall of America Corporate planning events and lived that for a year. And it was cool and fun and met a bunch of people and cool celebrities, but I was living there. Like I was there from sun up till way late at night, staying there some nights, just crazy. So after about a year of that, then I moved to Wells Fargo marketing, worked in their marketing department for a while until we had kids, just doing stuff for them. And then I also was coaching a dance team at that time. And we were running all of our apparel through here. So that's how I got linked into here. Ended up having Quinn, our oldest, who's now going to be 12. Um, Dave was traveling and still is crazy amounts all over the world, at least now he's gone 50% of the time, but he was gone, I mean, I say 99%. He would argue that it was more like 75, but just
What's
almost every
his
week,
industry?
Monday through Friday. What was that?
What is his industry?
He is in mergers and acquisitions.
Okay.
So he works for a company called Modine, and he buys and sells pieces of business and business lines and new businesses all the time.
Okay.
Um, he was traveling, so I'm like, you know what? One of us is gonna have to figure it out. So I left, stayed home, did some consulting, actually worked at Stitch Fix for a while, which was fun and awesome.
Oh
And
yeah.
then I got a call from Deanne, who used to own the business, and she was like, would you ever consider working for us? And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, let's talk about it. So sat down with her just very casually, and then it was like a week later, and I started here. I've been here for 4.5, almost 5 years. And shortly after I started, she was like, would you ever consider buying the business? And I'm like, at the time, I'm looking at our calendar like this, like, when? Tell me where to put that. So I was like, no, I don't think it's the right time. Like, I'll think about it. So, I mean, fast forward 3 years later, and I was like, there was just something in me that was like, you know what? I'm gonna reach back out and we're gonna have this conversation again. I think it could be a good thing. And so we did. And it took about, I think, say like 11 months to just before we announced that that was the plan. And then I signed the papers last August 1st. And we're coming up on fastly approaching a year on
Wow.
Friday.
Wow. So you were working with her 3 years after she initially said, like, hey, do you want to sell this? So clearly wasn't like she had you in mind, from my perspective. Like she wasn't looking elsewhere.
Yeah, I think it just like naturally, I think happened. And they're great people. They're husband and wife that used to own and
Mm.
did amazing things with the business before I took over. And it just felt natural and, like perfect timing. And I mean, stressful, as you know, with owning your own business and just taking that leap of faith and getting everything set up and then pulling the trigger and being like, okay, now I'm doing it and it's really mine. And it still feels very surreal, even a year later.
Yeah.
Like there are days where I wake up and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. That's my decision. Or, like I'm actually doing this.
Right.
So yeah, it's wild. It's fun though. Super fun. It's challenging. It's rewarding.
Well, before we get into that, I want to go back to Mall of America for a little bit. A couple of reasons. One, I had a friend who worked there for a long time. I wonder if your paths crossed, but you said you were with like events, is that right? Or you were in marketing, so you were doing,
Yeah, events. So any of the owned space at the mall, so like the rotunda is something that this
yeah.
is the main space you walk into. So anything that takes place in those little spaces, the events team there manages all of that schedule and who they're going to bring in and all that stuff. So that's what I was doing for a year after college.
Oh, what a fun time to be doing that.
Yeah, it was a blast. It was a lot. It was crazy and busy. And like I said, I pretty much lived there. It's like a little city. Many
Mm.
people don't know there's like underground tunnels underneath the mall. That's where the corporate offices used to be before they built that new beautiful space next to the hotel there. So yeah, I pretty much lived in the basement of the Mall of America for a solid year.
How fun. So who are some of the names of people
Yeah. Oh,
you,
my favorites of all time. So Hulk Hogan was one of my favorites, and he unfortunately
oh,
passed
rest in
away last
peace.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's sad. He was really fun. A little bit crazy, but fun. A lot of the Vikings would come in. We hosted their Christmas party in the park in the Nickelodeon universe. So they would come in. So I met like Adrian Peterson and Jared Allen, the Williams brothers, just a whole slew of Vikings coming in and out, which was super cool. Trisha Yearwood was so sweet. She was one of my favorites. Um, I'm trying to remember we had bands and the voice of SpongeBob. That was a interesting one.
Crazy.
Yeah. Just a whole slew of people, authors, bands, um, cheerleading groups, school bands. So anywhere from as little as that to crazy superstars that they bring in.
was everybody pretty cool, or was there anybody that was like
Over
hard?
the top.
Yeah.
Um, no, not anybody that was super like crazy. Some of the like the green room lists that we would get of their
Yeah.
requests would be a little extensive and I don't know, it's just weird to think about like if I'm going to show up to a work meeting, I'm never going to say, please make sure you supply nerd clusters and
Right.
sparkling water, but we got a lot of that. Um, and nothing, the people, like the attendees were the crazy ones for the most part. Like Black Friday.
Mm.
I, to this day, have PTSD from Black Friday events. Like people just get so crazy. We had people like threatening our lives because of places in line. It's just wild.
Oh my gosh. Well, I suppose this is kind of before everybody, like Amazon got as big as it is, and people were doing a lot more
Right.
online shopping.
Yeah, well before digital space
Yeah.
exploded with e-commerce. So it was still top, tourist destination. The fourth floor of the mall was thriving at the time with all the restaurants. And I feel like they've done a good job of I feel like it slowed down there for a while and then they brought new life to it. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was a good time. It was fun. Mall Cops Mall of America. I don't know if you ever seen that show. I think I make like two cameo appearances on it
Like
just
the
from
movie
being on the
Mall
events team.
Cops?
What was that?
Like the movie Mall Cops? Or
Yeah, but it was this reality TV show they launched. I'll have to Google and see if I can find any of them now. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. I need to see this footage. We, so I was on the university program board at St. Cloud State, and so we would be in charge of when like artists would come. And I just remember when Ludacris came, he had some
Oh,
very
word
interesting,
Chris.
specific requests for the green room that I don't think were fulfilled. I don't think they were allowed to be fulfilled. That was the most wild
That
one.
doesn't shock me.
Yeah, yeah,
That's funny. That's
yeah,
cool though. That would be a fun role to have.
yeah. It was. Our favorite night was Gary and I were like just starting to. I don't know. Kids call it talking now. I suppose we were talking at the time. And the Real World cast from Paris came. So it was like CT. He's been in all the things now. I forget all their names. Mallory. Um, so they were there for the night, and then they all like went out in St. Cloud and whatever. But yeah, that was fun because it was in like the days of we were all watching Real World all the
Oh
time.
my gosh, right?
Yeah,
Real World, Laguna Beach, all
yeah,
those MTV classics.
yeah, yeah. In
Hmm.
fact, do you want to know what's kind of embarrassing? We named Whitney after watching The Hills.
The Hills. I was obsessed with that show. So funny. So Quinn, our oldest, her name came from One Tree Hill? One Tree Hill.
Montreal.
One Tree Hill. That's where Quinn's name came from.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, and my mom got my name from Little House on the Prairie. It was like one of the actresses, the littlest one coming down the hill. So I guess I just kind of carried on the tradition
Yeah, there you go.
from a
I
show.
like that.
Yeah.
Blaze your own traditions. I know we didn't do any family names, which I feel like is a lot of people try to do that, at least for a middle name.
We did for middle names, but yeah, not the first names. So you have Quinn, and then your younger daughter's name is,
Her name is Charlotte. We call her Charlie.
oh yeah, cute. Love that.
She actually despises being called Charlotte, which is kind of funny how that worked out.
I loved the name Charlie, and we talked about it, but my godfather is Charlie. I was like, well, I can't name my daughter after my godfather, not like my dad, or
Yeah.
we didn't, but I've always loved that name. Super cute.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, you're, I'm always interested in what people major in and where it takes them to, because you said it was marketing and
Advertising.
advertising. Okay. Which you clearly have to utilize in owning
Hmm.
your business. So talk to me about, it's a custom apparel.
Yep. So we do anything from like one piece orders up to large orders for a wide range of clients from schools and athletics all the way to small and larger businesses. Um, uh, organizations that fundraise, just really anything. And we do embroidery, printing, and then we also have a promotional items side of our business as well, which ties in really well to just
Yeah.
utilizing custom apparel and stuff to advertise your brand and get your brand in different fun ways.
Cool. So do you get like wedding type of group orders ever? Like bridal,
Yeah,
bachelor
we
party?
do. We've had
Yeah.
some bachelorette parties. We've had, I mean, like just things that we actually had like a wedding robe the other last week where we just did some embroidery on
Oh, that's
the
cool.
bride's robe, which was kind of fun. So it's fun to be involved in those sentimental orders. And
Right.
then I love when we have like larger companies and organ businesses coming in. I feel like that's where I get to put my Stitch Fix fashion hat on because they're looking for stuff that, like not every woman wants to wear a polo shirt. Because right, that's what you think of for logo branded
Right.
company apparel. So it's kind of fun just to be able to pull different styles and things for them and give them ideas on how to kind of reach outside the box on custom apparel. It's not just t-shirts and sweatshirts and polos. I mean,
Right.
we source from so many vendors, like the options are open. So it's the fun part about it.
That's awesome. And when you were a Stitch Fix, so you were basically like the stylist. I was a customer of that for a while. So I
Yeah,
had my own stylist that would do a box. Is that what your role was?
that's what I did. Yeah,
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
know. Yeah, it was fun. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's crazy to see how that side of fashion and apparel like really took off and people just love, like this is what I want, pick out pieces that are specific to me, which is I feel like what we kind of do here. So, even I talk about like how I think about my progression and where I've came from. I mean, it's been highly intertwined in shopping and apparel and stuff like that, even from before I went to college. Like I think about my jobs that I had in high school. I mean, I worked at a local salon and I was at the front desk. And then I also worked for a couple of retail stores,
Oh,
just,
sure.
being on the floor or being at the register. So I think just it's crazy to see how, when you go to school and you have this, like I thought I wanted to work for Fallon, the ad agency, like the massive ad agency. That was my dream job. Well, and even before that, I was going to go into broadcast journalism. That's what I started at. And I wanted to either be a sports reporter or like on a big news conglomeration, just being an anchor.
I can see
And
good at that too.
that ended really fast when they were like, and you'll have to move to Hitchcockville, whatever, and live there for however long and try to fight your way into a prime market. And some people don't ever get there. And, I was like, maybe not. Maybe I'm not going to do this. I'm going to go a different route.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it's wild to think about how everything kind of just weaves itself together.
It all makes sense in reverse, doesn't it? Were you a were you into fashion as a kid? Like, does this all kind of come full circle?
I was very into fashion as a kid and like shopping growing up really like wasn't I don't feel like culture was that into it as our kids are now, right? Like I think about I mean, I'm sure Whitney's the same way as Quinn and Charlie. Like everything is they're so exposed to everything, with phones and technology that we have now. We didn't have that growing up, right? So unless you saw it on TV or you saw it on a billboard or you actually your parents took you to the store we just didn't have access to things like that they have and I think about like skincare and all that stuff like it's insane how kids are really engrossed in that I just wasn't that. I don't know about you, that wasn't my world. I
Yeah.
loved shopping. I used to shop all the time with my grandma and just girly stuff and trying to figure out what style, you like, try to be different, which I think kids still try to do.
For sure.
But yeah, I feel like the market's just different for kids now.
It is.
They
I
have
don't
so much
think
more access.
yeah, they're not going through the awkward years like we did.
Oh,
Like
they really aren't. I'm like,
lost
what
my
is
throat.
happening? Like my oldest is going to be a sixth grader, and I'm like, girlfriend, you like you are wearing Lululemon
Hmm.
and know how to apply your makeup better than I did in high school. Like, what in the heck is
I
happening?
I know. I know.
It's like a glow up these days. It's
Yeah.
like you figure that out way earlier in life just because of how much exposure they have.
Oh, I know. I mean, they can watch some tutorials on how to apply makeup and like get it down because they have the time to do it like very
Yeah.
quickly. And I'm like, gosh, I still don't know how to do whatever you just did. Yeah.
Right. Like I didn't have a skincare routine. I
No.
mean, granted, like we all washed our face with like what was that stuff that was super popular?
Noxzema?
It was like in a purple bottle.
Noxzema I used to use or
Yeah, Noxzema pads, like to burn your
yes,
skin right off.
yes.
Yeah, like don't worry, you just lost a whole base layer of your skin, but it'll be clear. It'll be
Yeah.
free and clear because we just literally burned a layer of it off.
Yep.
But yeah, like that, I didn't have any of that. Outside of that, it was like nothing. I didn't even wear sunscreen. I mean, let's talk about how much that has changed.
Oh, right.
Like kids they're all worried about the
The UV.
SPF levels or the UV ray levels, but you got to put your sunscreen on. So you don't want to look like a fruit roll up when you're
They don't want to get
45.
wrinkly. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. And they bring water bottles everywhere. Like, what? I think we were just like constantly dehydrated. I don't remember having one until
100%. Yeah, like, oh, I'm gonna need to grab my water and take it to class. I'm like, we couldn't have anything in class. Like, that was unheard of.
yeah. No, they all have like 40-ounce waters or whatever they are. Just these big water jugs.
My 8-year-old's water bottle is as big as her. Oh, I know. It's crazy how things change in that regard.
I know. So you have two girls. I grew up with two sisters, so there were three girls, no boys. And I always say that, God makes dads of girls like super special because my dad is the most patient man. Was constantly waiting for us, like didn't hear a peep about it, just
Yeah.
patient,
Yeah.
soft-spoken. Um, so has that been your experience as well?
So I grew up in a house of women too. I have one sister. She's a couple years younger than me. And then obviously my mom and we always had a female dog. So yeah, my dad was completely outnumbered. And most of the time, to be honest, like a fish out of water. I always say it's good thing that my sister is a little bit more on the tomboy side because she was a D1 softball player and
Oh, yeah.
did all the things. Like my dad is a big fisherman, so she did all the fishing and she would go hunting with him. And so he kind of had like the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And like, and I had everything I was doing was he was like, I don't know what's happening here. Like, just don't get the nail polish over the counter. So I feel like he was great. I feel like my husband is so engrossed in all the girl dad stuff. He's super involved and very hands-on and just amazing,
Hmm.
but also lives in a space of he's also an avid outdoorsman and knows that he has that escape and like almost like I'm the king of this and so I'm gonna go do all the guy stuff and I don't have to worry about anybody infringing on my guy stuff.
Yes.
So I was teasing him. I'm like, when do I get to have this? Like, this is my thing, right? I mean, the girls encroach on everything I do now. Like, I can't even sneak out of the house to get my nails done without one of them wanting to join, which is great. I love doing that stuff with them, but yeah, it's just funny.
Yeah.
He loves that, and then he also just gets to go do his dude stuff without us bothering him about it.
Yeah. Yeah. What is that like? I think about the boundaries that I don't know. I've had business coaches that have like coached me on boundaries with work-life balance and all of that. And I office out of home, so it makes it all the more complicated, especially in the summer when the kids are home. Um,
Yep.
but
Yeah.
you own your own business, they're also, especially when you start out, there's this need, or it feels like a need to be available almost round the clock because you're wanting to, over deliver and really be there.
Yeah.
So how have you navigated that whole crazy?
Yeah. I think this one is something that we struggle with a lot at our house. So when Dave is not traveling, he offices out of our home. And that has been the case. oh man, since Quinn was a baby. So the girls are just, they've almost sadly grown up knowing that like when dad's home, he's working unless it's a weekend. And then, I mean, we can still have conversations or emails or things that do come up. Um, it's hard to juggle. I think, especially, and I kind of touched on this in our social media a little bit too. It's challenging, I think, for all working parents in this era because everything is so at your fingertips all the time. Like, I mean, how many times do we check our phones in any given 5 minute period? And
right?
it's easy to fire off. It's easy to fire off an email. It's easy to get sucked into a work project or social media or whatever the case is.
Mhm.
Um, and I would say that it's something we strive at our home to do better. Um, but also we've just kind of really instilled in our kids that we will always be around and attentive and we will never miss any of their activities or their events. So it's okay if, something needs to happen for work, but it just is what it is with two working parents and, owning a business and being responsible for teams. Um, and we set aside time for family and we book trips and, vacations and downtime. And I think that's the key part, right? Like fitting it in when the girls are running around or busy at the studio versus late at night when we're trying to put them to bed. So finding that balance of showing them that it's okay to be dedicated and work hard and give something your 100%. Because I think they need to see that too, right? Like
Yeah.
I would love to say like my hours of operation are from 8 a.m. to 2. But, work happens nowadays outside of those kind of set and like old school hours of the day. Um, but just kind of teaching them like it's important to set aside dedicated time where you're not doing that. And that we make it work and we balance our schedules between the four of us. And yeah, I mean, it's challenging. I feel like this part of life, and we call it the messy middle, is just a lot of like, I feel like I just juggle plates in the air, right? Like over here, I've got my mom plate, and over here, I have my wife plate and my kids and my friends and the community and my passions and work. And so, I mean, you're kind
Yeah.
of just moving around, right? Like you're constantly juggling who gets more time over here and who maybe will take less time. It's just, I don't know, I feel like it just ebbs and flows, right? With how each week rolls out. Like I
Uh,
would say some weeks are way more family focused than work, and that's just how things roll. And I've always been very transparent with, my clients and my team and all of that. Like my kids and my husband are my priority in life, right? I don't have anything if I don't have them and my mental health. Um, so, work is still going to be there and people understand.
yeah.
I think that's one th good thing that came from COVID, um, is, just taking the time to like recalibrate on what priorities are and adjusting from needing to have somebody face to face all the time. Like I take work calls in my car with driving carpool, and people are just, they get it, right? Like, hey, I'm in the car. You might hear my kids scream in the back every now and then, or the girls, chatting with their boyfriends on the phone, but you still have my full attention. And I think I mean, that's another fun part about being in the role I have is that I have a little bit of that flexibility. But I
Yeah.
think it's been a huge culture shift to that too, right?
So true. I mean, we've entered into this new era where I think it's the just the beginning of leaving that kind of 9 to 5 that's been set in stone for so long. And yeah, COVID, I mean, so many people I know that were traveling all the time pre-COVID, their organizations started to figure out like, okay, we can actually do a lot of these meetings virtually, and we don't have to send our employees across the country and spend the money on
Right.
all the things, and it's more efficient. And so I think a lot of things recalibrated, and then yeah, it gave us that opportunity to like slow down, have more time at home. Uh, Sports, everything was put on pause, and so I mean
It was
that
one of my favorite summers. I mean, it was terrible and I don't ever want to go back to that. I mean, you just think about that was a wild historical time to live through. But it was one of my favorite summers. Like we spent the majority of the time at the lake, and it was nice to not have a dictated schedule, I guess.
I agree. And I was still teaching that spring of 2020. And so it moved online and I taught in alternative schools with at-risk students. And so I was like, I don't want to say living my best life, but I was home. I had my ducklings in the nest. Like Gary was
Yeah.
home every day. It was wonderful. I got to just like hop on work in my PJs and like have a slow morning.
Right?
And then, they were struggling so bad because they were in
Yeah.
homes that were less than ideal.
Oh,
A lot of,
I
parents were.
can't imagine what you saw or heard or
Mhm.
like I don't even know how you handle that stuff remote or through a computer. You know what I mean? Like that was probably bizarre and just horrifying.
Yeah, I mean, when I had them in class, there were so many that I just wanted to like, oh, come home with me.
Again. Yeah,
You know,
I know.
um, and so yeah, that was tough. And so I feel so grateful that like you and I had similar experiences where it was just we really got to soak up the family and slow down. Um,
Yeah.
I know that wasn't a lot of people's case, but it sure definitely reprioritized for me. And that's ultimately when I decided to publish full time and leave teaching. Because once you start to have that taste of like designing your own schedule and not rushing off necessarily every day or being able to just, I don't know, be with your kids in the morning. I mean, I used to have to leave home before 7 every day. So sometimes the kids weren't even up yet.
Yeah,
Tough.
it's challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm thankful for that too. I drop the kids off at school every morning and pick them up. Um, and I mean, it's not a lot of time, and especially now while they're so busy, I feel like the only quality time we get is in the car. And I think it's hard for me as a parent because I battle between like they don't get really any downtime, right? I mean, we're picking up, grabbing a snack, changing in the car, dropping at dance, picking up. Most of the time for us, we're grabbing dinner on the way home or trying to get them fed something healthy, which is, as you know, as a mom, super challenging with crazy schedules. Um, but then I'm like, do I force conversation or are you tired? Are you crabby? You know what I mean? It's like, I'm always like, girls, you got to give me something. And they're like, oh, mom, we're fine. We're just tired and we want to do this and we want to fit this in and I need to call this person and text that person. And I'm like, oh my Lord. Like, you just kind of watch yourself like drop on the
Yeah.
priority list a little bit.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
little
very
painful.
humbling. Yeah.
But I mean, I guess that's the goal, right? Teaching them how to be independent and be on their own. It just happens too fast.
Yeah, I feel like carpool is one of those golden moments right now. Yeah, I love that you called it the messy middle because that's for sure where it is. And I'm not to this point yet, but I have I know a lot of people, not necessarily close friends, but who are not just taking care of their like tweens or teens, but also their parents. And then their
Yeah,
careers are as, busier than they've ever been. So it really is a messy middle part of life. It's awesome,
it is. And
but it's
yeah, it is. It's awesome and it's messy and it's heavy and I feel like it's a time where I have thought more to myself, like, am I doing it right? Like, we work so hard and have so many goals and plans to get here. It's like I find myself pausing more and more to be like, all right, am I doing it? Am I doing it well? Like, are my kids you know what I mean? It's wild because before you know it, I feel like we're gonna be retired and grandparents, and it's just weird to think that that's next on the horizon.
I was going to ask you that about like what you do to kind of pause or sit in gratitude because I know uh it can feel so overwhelming when you have a litany of things that you want to accomplish or do. I mean, I have a constant like running list of things that I want to do, but then I don't know, I feel like from middle of June until last weekend we were gone every single weekend. between
Rocket fire. Yep.
north, all the things, and having taught for 12 years and having summers off, I still find myself like sliding back into the, well, this is like my 3 month break, and I just want to enjoy time with the kids. And so I try to be both mindful of like, yeah, I want to soak them up as much as possible, but also like I have this nagging feeling of, are you doing enough? You have things that you want to do. So just wondering how you,
Couldn't agree more. I
um,
feel like I have that nagging feeling too, and it only gets louder, right? Because I feel like the days are long when the kids are little and the years are short. Well, I feel like now that they're independent and getting to that place where they can go do things with friends or, just be on their own more, it's only going to go quicker. The days are just going to be short and the years are going to be short. And I hear the minute they get into middle school, high school, it's like gone before you can even bat an eye. So I just find myself more and more trying to find ways to, like, not even just length of time, but for me, it's like quality of time, right? Like I'm around my kids, thankfully, I feel like more than most, right? Because I get that time in the morning, I pick them up, I get to be the one to take them to their athletics. And as much as I complain about that, it is a blessing. Um, but yeah, just the quality or like just to quiet and watch or be instead of multitasking and trying to figure out what comes next. I also think we're just at like a stage of life where the what comes next is still far away, where I've found myself being like, all right, let's just live and be and not try to be the one planning the next thing all the time.
yeah,
So, my drives to work in the morning are really the only time it's just me in the car. So I've even like shut my radio off and just tried to, just think and be in the moments of gratitude, like you said, finding those moments. Um, yeah, I think it's hard though, right? Because that's the other thing. We're such a creature of habit now for instant gratification and instant everything. Like, I mean, think about Amazon and how much that changed.
right.
We don't even have to plan like a trip to the store to pick up whatever, right? We just have it shipped right to our door and it shows up within a day.
Yeah,
So I think that's a struggle too. Like I'm very much a person who likes to be busy, likes to make sure that all of the people in my world, including friends and family and, everybody, like I'm always like, all right, who's the next person? What are we doing this weekend? And I don't know, I feel like Dave does a good job being like, we don't always have to be doing something. I'm like, but yeah, we do, or we're just sitting here. And even the kids, right? With their fast-paced life, I feel like they have gotten away from being able to sit and be bored and find something to do.
I
So
know.
we've worked on that the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I wonder about that with them as they get older because um that that was another silver lining of COVID is everybody just had to get like had to sit in boredom and
Creative.
get creative
Yeah.
again. Um and now, I mean, if they have a device, then that's a pull. Or just yeah, all the things grabbing for their attention. And yeah, I wonder how they're going to do when they get older. I know even for me, I started meditating in like 2016, 2017, and I got into like a really good daily habit of it for a while. And I feel like that's when I was my most creative because I was just like quieting the mind. Um, but it was also when I was still teaching, I had like goals and things I wanted to do. And I feel like, okay, now that I'm happier doing this, just because I'm being able to use my creative outlet and execute some of these ideas I had, and I'm seeing the kids more. I don't have like that pull to meditate as much. I'm not,
Yeah.
um, it's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah. I think, and I don't know if this has come with just age, or if it's come with being so crazy busy and so on the go. And then like obviously with Dave traveling and having young kids, just focused in the muck of it. But I feel like the last I don't know, solid like 6 months for me, I've really contemplated like what drives me at my core and when am I at my best. And for me, it's really like I feed off of other people. I'm an extreme extrovert, and that's where I feel like I get my energy, and I love to be around people. But it's like who is most important, and where should I be spending my time, and trying to get back to how do we get more time together as a family and put that as a priority. I feel like really centers all of us. So that's a main focus for me. I feel like currently, like how do we maximize our time and how do we just make sure that we do have time together, right? And we're not always grabbing food on the go, or how can we better plan our schedule? So I don't know, that's a big focus for us, I think. And even for me as a business owner, like I need to be at my best in order to best support my team and my clients. And so I think it's about, you
'Cause I
know,
was going to ask you too about like health and fitness because you're in shape. You
thank
um
you.
yeah, you clearly take care of yourself. So has that, I know you were a previous dancer. Has it always been the case? And like what do you do as, I don't know how old you are, but I'm
Oh,
so
I
I
think I think it's important. I mean, so yeah, I danced. I didn't dance in college. College was, I knew some it had to be a place where I put all of my energy into that. I've always had to study hard. So I knew going into it, like if I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do it right, then I need to study hard and make that my focus. So I didn't dance in college. I really started just creating my own workout path. I would say I didn't really become like super focused on fitness until when Quinn was born. Um, I mean, I did workouts and I would go to workouts and, we would be members of the Y or whatnot, but it was never like a primary focus until after I had Quinn. Um, and I think with anybody who's had kids, especially like females, I mean, sometimes even dads, it's like I want to show my kids that, it's not just about the vanity piece of it and like, wanting to look a certain way, but it's also how like we keep our bodies healthy, right? Like you have to have muscle to support your bones and you have to work out to have your cardiovascular health. And it all just flows together and keep your mind sharp. And so we really talk about to our kids about like, dad and I choose to work out daily and we do it because we want to be healthy people. We want to be strong people and we want to be around for a long time. And it's good for like our mental shape. And um, so I think for me, it's focusing on that. I mean, it's hard to, or it's easy to get pulled into the look side of it and the getting older and, things just shift and change and move and all the joys of that.
do.
Um, but yeah, I just feel better. Like I feel healthy and I feel mentally, better when I put that energy in. So currently I go to Burn Boot Camp. Shout out Burn Boot Camp, Albertville.
Nice.
Um, it's just a community too, right? Like I worked out at home prior to starting there, which I still enjoy. So it feels more like a family and a group of friends, just going to hang out with friends more than I have to get my workout in, which I love. Um, but yeah, it's just been something that I've had like disciplined into myself that I just know putting the workout in and getting that time is gonna make me feel better. So I just do it.
Yeah.
Um, it's not easy with a busy schedule. I mean, there were times that I've been on the treadmill running at 10 p.m., which that's probably not healthy, right? Um, but it's just a habit.
Yeah, I think it's far more than I started when I was younger. I was a heavy kid, so I started walking purely for vanity reasons. Like I wanted to lose weight. I wanted to look better. But then I started to lose weight, started to build muscle, got more into it. All the things that you gain from it is like far outweighs any of that piece of it. So the mental
Yeah.
clarity, the energy.
I think it's one place in my life right now where I know if I'm going to spend 40 minutes, I can shut it out. People have Like for some people, it's watching junk TV or whatever, just mindless things. For me, it's one place where I can just be there and I don't have to worry about what's happening in my social or my personal or my work or my whatever world. So it's nice for me to it's like, shut the world out, get my time in
Yeah.
and move on from there. And I'm an early morning workout person right now. So we'll see how long that lasts.
One of the things I'm always interested in how entrepreneurs like maximize and structure their day. And most I talk to are early morning people, which I would never was really until, I don't know, late 30s, early 40s. And I wouldn't even say it's that early, but it's earlier than it used to be. So when is
Yeah.
your typical workout? What time?
So I'm normally to the gym. Class starts at 5. So I leave around 4:45. I'm up by 4:30. With life being crazy, I'm not the best at getting sleep, just in general. I feel like I am just an anxious person and get overwhelmed really easily. So sleep has been a priority for me of trying to figure out how to get better quality of sleep, and force myself to go to bed and shut my brain off. So that is what I'm doing right now. I feel like it's a good start. I like starting my day out like that. I think it sets me up for success and then gives me time in the evening while I'm running kids to be able to wrap up work or whatever I need to get done without feeling the pull to get my workout in. So, yeah, I mean, I like that. I like this routine. Who knows if it will always be like that, but for now it works.
I used to do 5 a.m. workouts when the kids were, I don't, they were little, probably like preschool age. And I loved it. There's something about getting up when it's still dark out too. And
Yeah.
you just get a jump start on the day, like you
Yeah.
leg up on the world. Um, but now I feel like their schedules are so crazy. Sometimes they don't even get done with something until 10 o'clock. Like even
Yeah.
a person who this year he was in fifth grade, he would have a baseball game until 10 o'clock some nights. And so that means he's not
Yeah.
10:30. We're all unwinding. And I am just a bear if I don't get a good night's sleep. So the 5 a.m. has been pushed back to like, I don't know, between like 6:30, 7:30. But if I
Yeah.
just get it in before I start my work day, I'm so much happier.
I agree. Yeah. I don't the late ends for our kids for the ages that they're at has been a struggle for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not like, especially on school nights and with how busy they are, I always worry about that. And especially now that Quinn's in middle and I feel like the homework train's got to ramp up here at some point. I just worry about, making sure that priorities are aligned and we're getting things accomplished that we need to and teaching them that you can't just like put it off and it's not healthy to stay up till 1, 2 a.m. to do those things. Like that's college life,
Right.
right? So that's a fear that I have. And with our drive, it's something that weighs heavy on both of us as parents of, we don't always want our kids to be doing homework in the car or rushing through it. So it just adds another layer, right?
How far is your drive then to the studio?
So we're 28 miles currently. So it just kind of depends on the day. I
Okay.
mean, a lot of the times I will leave 45 minutes before they start, planning on anywhere from a half hour to 40, 35 minutes to get there and then, give them time to get settled in. So it just, like I think about during the school year. I mean, my kid's schedule starts, so we drop our youngest off at 7:20. She starts school at 7:40. Quinn gets dropped off at 8. She starts school at 8:20, I think it is, 8:15. Charlie gets picked up at 2:15. Quinn gets picked up at 3. So I'm already jumping in the car by 1:45-ish, 2 o'clock on a good day. I'm doing all the pickups and drop-offs most of the time we're at the studio by 3:30, 4 o'clock. And then depending upon the evening and who's running around where, like we're not coming back or getting home until, like you said, 10, 9:30, 10 o'clock. So I think about that amount of time, like, oh man, I don't know. It's crazy, the things that we do.
Maybe we can encourage you to come over to Andover.
Yeah.
Hear it.
We've actually discussed it. So we'll see. Who knows? Maybe we'll be moving closer and then I mean I would just even look forward to getting back to dinner together once a week. That's not store or it's not restaurant food. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like that has just become such a norm in our world that that part is hard for I think both of us, as we've just become so accustomed to that that it's hard to get it's hard to even plan for groceries, right? Like our schedule is so volatile.
I know. And I might think we have a night off and then something additional will be scheduled, or I don't know. I feel like it's,
Yeah, or that's where we're fitting in things like birthdays.
mhm.
Or like I think about so we do a pumpkin carving contest every year. And we were just talking about this with my family. My parents manage it and run it, and it's been a tradition for a really long time and it's fun. And we didn't even do it last year. So I'm like, man, there's just even if we had an hour, right, just to do it, which we can't even carve out an hour, which actually just kind of makes my heart hurt a little bit. So I'm like, all right, we got to get back to the basics a little bit, figure out how to maximize our schedules.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we're right there with you. And I, like you spoke to earlier, it's like juggling all these different things. And I think there are seasons and there's some times where life is just going to be super busy and it's not in the car.
Yeah.
And then when you get the times where your schedules better align or you can carve out time, then those moments are gold.
Yeah, and that's a good way to look at it. Like I think I said this earlier, I'm very much a have my cake and eat it too. Like I try to plan so that we can do it all. So for me, it's like, what do you mean we have 0 hours in October to carve a pumpkin? Like that sounds outrageous, but it just gets to be that, right?
Yeah, it does. Your girls are in different schools this year.
Yeah, and they were last year. So out where we are, middle starts in fifth grade. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
kindergarten and it's separate building. Then first through fourth, and Charlie will be a third grader. And
Okay.
then fifth through eighth, and then the high school. So we encountered our first ever middle school year as parents, which was, I think it was good. I mean, Quinn did a great job, and she's a really good kid. But I don't know what it is about just feeling like the pressure and the anxiety that your kid's going to be a middle schooler. I've never felt anything like that yet. And it's just like the stigma, I think. So
Mhm.
I really had to shift my mindset to be like, all right, just because those things happen doesn't mean that that's what's going to take place. So
Yeah, that's
just
a good point.
breathe.
Yeah, I feel like there have been so many warnings about like having a daughter who's at, the age Whitney's at, she's 13 and a half, and she's a good kid. Like we haven't had to deal with a ton of stuff. Not saying that stuff couldn't come down the pipe, but I'm also just a huge believer in like you create your reality. And so if you're going to
Right.
focus on the few times that she snaps or whatever, then that's what you're going to keep seeing back. But um yeah, it's been pretty awesome. And I just every year I'm like, oh, this is my favorite year. Oh, this is my favorite year because she's such a buddy now. Like we love to do the same things. Yeah, it's been awesome. So I agree. I think there's
Uh,
a lot of just like stigma about that age, with
yeah.
especially.
Yeah. And I feel like I definitely internalized it last year. And I think it's just the fear, right? And it comes with every stage of raising kids. And obviously with your first, it's different with your second or third or fourth or whatever. But even just thinking back to like sending him off to kindergarten, same set of fear, just different parameters, right? So like she got a phone for Christmas, which was that's a whole can of worms. And I wish that we would have lived that because I always say like it's something that we never lived in that space or in that age, right? Like I didn't have a cell phone until basically college. Like it just wasn't a thing, right? And it's so young for them now, and we held off, I felt like, for as long as we could. and have parameters and all the safety in place. And at some point, you just got to rip the Band-Aid, right? And like you have to teach them and guide them. And I'm extremely thankful for dance in that regard. I feel like they become such responsible kids that are pushed to grow in those areas and, to have hard conversations and to have conversations with adults and just to learn responsibility and ownership a lot earlier. So I feel like we're blessed that our girls are being taught that and being having that reinforced in their athletics.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, it's just a different space, right? Because it's like, I mean, half the time I already feel like I'm technologically challenged, and like we're not even that old, right? Like we live in technology every day, and my kids do things, and I'm like, I swear I told myself I would never get to a point where I'm looking at my kids saying, I need you to help me with my phone. Like, and it's happening.
Same. I know.
And
And
it's like
AI,
sad and scary and funny because I'm like, I feel like I sound like my mom, where I'm like kids these days, but it's so true. It just happens and you can't prevent it and you can't help it. Like they just are learning at a rapid pace about those things and stuff we never encountered. And then they're off doing their own thing. And then there's boys and there's friends. And so it's just more intimidating than, the good old elementary days.
I know, and AI is just like getting started, so I can imagine where that's going to take them in a few years. And, years ago they were saying, oh, go into this industry or anything with tech. And now it's like, wait, back up because all the tech jobs are pretty much going to be AI.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like now, right, you have to, like, it's not even to go into it. You just have to immerse yourself and learn it and know it. Or like, I have really encouraged myself to use AI in my business, even to just, it is pretty cool what it can do. I mean, granted, it's scary and it's interesting and wild, but yeah, I feel like kids just have to. You have to immerse yourself in the way that technology is changing and yeah, it's a challenge. That is a challenge for me too. It's because then it's like, all right, well, what's real, right? Like what's reality and what's AI?
Right.
And when do those lines fully blur and merge and then what's that gonna look like? And then how do we discern like, hey, is that really what's happening or is that like a made up, you know what I mean?
No,
It's
I don't think
wild.
we're going to be able to tell the difference pretty soon. It's already, I shared something on my story and it was like, um, it was these newscasters with crazy things going on in the background. And the whole thing, including the actual person, was fake. And then everything they were
That
saying
is
in
insane.
the background. And it was like, it just looked like HD, high quality person talking until it showed you some crazy scene in the background. You're like, oh, that's not real. Um, yeah. So I don't know where all that
That
bring us,
I
but
don't know. That is wild.
yeah, I feel like there's
Yeah.
such a return to simple at the same time, like the amount of families that are creating gardens or homeschooling or like stripping everything back and going back to how it has been done for, thousands of years.
Right.
So
Yeah, and I think we'll still see that shift in culture, right? Because I feel like once we get to that tipping point, that's when change happens because people just, you get to the point where you don't know what's reality or not anymore. Gets a little bit scary
yeah,
and it's time to rein it in a little. I don't know what that will look like
I
or
know.
who will be in charge of that, but
I don't know either. Yeah, that'll be interesting.
yeah, that's where my anxiety comes out too. I think about the world that our kids will live in 50 years from now when they're even 30 years from now. When they're our age. It's wild to think about it.
It is, and I think that's what, yeah, I can tune things out that's going on in the world, but when you put it in perspective as to this is the world that's being created for our kids to create families and for our grandbabies hopefully to grow up in, then it's like, oh, it's a lot.
Yeah, it is. It really is a long time. Oh my gosh. So this just transitioned me to So I spent last week, this was actually fun and I'm super happy it worked out. But so when Dave travels, I've not been able to really take along on any of the trips. And he's been to some pretty awesome, like he's been to almost every country. Granted, not the Middle East or anything, but he does Italy and Germany and Scotland and Ireland and just he's been everywhere for work. Um, and I got to take along to good old Racine, Wisconsin last week, which I mean, not glamorous at all, right? But my girls were up north with my parents, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go. When do we get to do this, right? Like, you're gonna work during the day, I'm gonna work during the day. We'll come together in the evening, grab dinner. We'll just hang out, right? And it ended up being fabulous. But we were sitting at this supper club in Racine, Wisconsin, listening to this gentleman next to us talk about how exactly what we're talking about, how the world's changing. And I didn't really catch what his role was, but he was investing in buying land for businesses and things. And he has these populations where he thinks corporations and things can thrive and can do great things with communities and all and that such. And he said something like, yeah, but then the senior citizens, like, then they're phased out and they don't really, like, they're not the decision makers. And I was like, well, wait, like, what do you mean? That's one of our biggest populations still. And then I think about, like our kids growing up and us being grandparents and all the things. And it's like, I don't know, it's just wild to think like, hey, at some point, then you have zero control and you're just there, right? Like you're just grandma and mom and the next generation takes over and it's just crazy. I
Yeah.
think that's the scary part for me. Like this world's going to be created, our kids are going to grow up, and as a mom, we're always worrying and caring for our kids as best we can. And then you get to a point where it's like, all right, there they go by themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. That part. Like thinking of what role we have. I mean, I think there's so many grandparents who fear overstepping or they don't want to. I've seen it so many times. And so thinking of how we're going to fit into like kids' lives and then how all of that is going to look in the future, I think about that way too much considering my kids are, barely one's a teenager,
Yeah,
but yeah,
I feel like I do as well. But it's also, I mean, to what we discussed earlier, you spend so much of your younger years planning, right? For when you have kids and what your household's going to look like and what you're going to do for your career and where life takes you. And that's still innate in us and it's still planning for the next phase. And that's where we're like, I need to do a better job and our family can do a better job of just living in the moment. And that's a big focus for us, I think, this next year, figuring out ways to not feel like we're ships passing in the night and constant go.
yeah, I think everybody can relate to that. Yeah. One of the things I wanted to ask that's kind of the antithesis of that is what are you excited about right now?
Oh man. Um, I'm really excited. I mean, just simple. I'm excited to see what this year brings for kiddos and watching them grow. I'm super excited that, I have an opportunity within the business to grow the business and to really make it something to be proud of and really immerse myself and my personality and my heart into it. And my hope is that it stays something that's positive and local and customer centric. Key relationships and building relationships with our clients is a big thing that I think sets Geared Up Apparel apart from other apparel organizations is that true friendship feel and true care for each project that we take on. Um, Plus, just our timelines and our efficiency, quality. But I'm just excited for it to become like our family's little, like, for lack of better words, like little nugget that can provide for our family, be a space where both Dave and I can just continue to grow it and use our knowledge and our expertise, especially him. Like I don't, he works in corporate America and it would be so awesome at some point to give him some reprieve and allow him to retire early and get him out of the travel scene. I mean, he's been traveling his entire career. Um, and just to allow us to still do something and have something, but not be so in the grind, in our later years of life, and being able to do this and put our kids at the forefront and get to enjoy each other at some point when this messy middle comes to a close, and get back to, like, he's an avid hunter, so he spends a lot of time up north on his hunting land. But I mean, it's pretty wild the things he's done and invested in up there to be able to grow that passion he has. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to sharing my kids' passions and his passion and being able to do this as a family. And it's funny because I would always laugh when people would tell me, like, well, I have this family business and I'm hoping someday, like, one of my kids will want to take it over. And I found myself saying that last night. We were talking about the business, and I looked at Dave and I go, yeah, and then who knows, maybe someday Quinn or Charlie will. And he just looks at me and I'm like, I know, I know. I always laugh when people say that. But when you're in it and it's yours and it's, you're excited about it, it's, those things pop into your mind of, like, if I can do this and set them up for success and give them something to work towards,
Well, it's
why
part of
not?
your legacy. And so, yeah, it would be cool, if the kids took that over. I love that you said you want to work towards giving Dave a reprieve, because I feel the exact same way about Gary. Like, he's been grinding since, I mean, he got into selling at the time it was just office furniture when we were in college, and he had an internship, and he's been that industry ever since. And yeah, he works really hard, and I would love nothing more than to just allow him to like retire early at some point. So that's a big goal of mine for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And he's, always been like my biggest supporter and encourager. And I've learned even just in the last year of doing this. I mean, his wealth of business knowledge and buying and selling and growing businesses and in all facets of the organizations that he's worked in is immense. And he's really amazing at what he does. And so just humbling myself to allow, because that's a different relationship, right? Like, you're dating and then you're married and you have kids. And I mean, we've never worked together. So when you're in your professional element and you bouncing ideas, or, like, we co-own. So he's obviously, we own as a family, but he's not here. So those conversations are, it's just different, how your relationship can change and grow. And yeah, it would be, I mean, he's always probably going to be part of the business. So it's just fun to be able to pull him in and see that side and have those conversations and learn from it, even though sometimes it's not always easy.
Like, that's like I can take any golf advice from my dad, but when Gary tells me the same thing, I'm like, yeah. So I can imagine.
Oh yeah, we've had some of those conversations. Or, he's pretty good though. He always says, like, I will help you with anything and you don't have to take my advice if you don't want to. Like, you're blazing the trail and you're doing it, but I'm just here to support you. Which, he's so much more laid back than I am. I am the polar opposite, where I'm like, if you're gonna let me in on this, then I want to own it and I want to do it. But I also have a hard time raising my hand and being like, okay, well, I don't really know what I'm doing.
Right.
Right? Um, and nobody does have it all together all the time. It's just making the best decision that you can. So, most informed. Yeah. It's been a wild ride. I'm excited that it's been a year. Looking forward to seeing what we can do in the next few and where the business goes.
Well, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes too. And where can people find you to learn
Yeah.
about business?
So we actually just launched a new website a couple weeks ago. So that is www.iamgearedup.com. And then within that, you'll be able to access all of our socials. We're on Twitter, not Twitter, sorry. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and you can see my crazy self on there most of the time. I mean, we've really dived into it, and it's actually been fun just to kind of showcase that, it doesn't have to be crazy and serious and stuffy. And like, we like to have fun, and I like to have fun, and I like to really just treat everybody like a friend and enjoy the process. It doesn't have to be so serious and fast-paced and straightforward. So I think our socials have done a better job of showcasing how, we can be silly, but still get the job done and provide a great quality product. Feel like your neighborhood spot.
Fun. I'm gonna have to follow. So I am gearedup.com. I'll put it in the show notes too, and then everybody can find your socials as well.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Nice, Megan. This has been so fun. I can't believe hour and 15's just gone by.
I know,
So
right? Well, like I told you in Florida, I've been saying for a long time, I feel like we could just mom and wife and sister and friend and everything on podcasts, and there would never be like lack of words, right? You get to
100%.
that place in your life, and I feel like you can just start relating to everyone around you, and yeah, that's crazy. So if you ever want to chat anything else, I'm open.
Yes, yay. Okay. Well, this will just be the first then.
All right, that sounds awesome.
Thanks so much, hon. We'll talk
Yeah,
soon.
thank you too. Sure, we'll be seeing you around the studio.
Yeah, absolutely.